Hey guys, welcome back to another movie talk. Let's talk about The Call of the Wild. Again, I like this movie. um, it's. I know it's technically a 20th Century Fox movie. Well, now it's considered 20th Century Studios. Wow. When I first saw the logo for this movie, I was really confused at first. I understood why they had to change it because it's no longer Fox, but at the same time, seeing that new logo change, I was like, nope, I'm not used to it. I don't like it. Bring back the Fox. So yeah, this movie is basically a Disney movie, but it's from 20th Century Studios. But it's a Disney movie. It's full on Disney. You could really, really tell. Okay, so from the trailers, I was a bit skeptical of this one. But Harrison Ford is the reason why I'm very intrigued in this. I'm like, you know what? Harrison Ford and a CGI dog movie? Why not? It's Harrison Ford. Why not? So that's my expectations for from the trailer. Why not? It's Harrison Ford and a CGI dog. That's okay. So that's it. But when I saw this movie and when it got to the end, I was like, this movie's really heartwarming. It really got to me. It really, really got to me. And I can understand if people could not get into this. I do. I really do. Because this is an old school. It feels like the 1950s live action Disney adventure movie, you know? If they if instead of CGI they just use a live action dog and some kind of outdated special effects, what they could do with claymation and stuff. So yeah, it kind of feels like those kind of movies, but it's modernized. The special effects are cleaner and they look prettier. They look better and stuff like that. So this movie is basically an old school Disney adventure, and I dug it. I never read the book, but after watching the movie, I had to check up the Wikipedia page to see if the ending is actually the same as the ending of the movie. Well, the ending of the book isn't the same as the ending of the movie. And yeah, there's a big difference. I mean, yes, it ends up being the same. It's just that what happens in the finale is different between the book and the movie. And I can understand why they changed it for the movie, because I'm pretty sure some people would be kind of offended by this. But at the same time, I kind of preferred the darkness of the book's ending. So yeah, that's all I can say without going into spoilers. So again, never read the book. I had to read the Wikipedia page. The interesting thing about this movie is that Harrison Ford... yes, he's throughout the movie, but he doesn't really interact with Buck that much for the first hour. Like, Buck, the first hour is basically Buck being transferred from master to master to master. And then at one point he gets sick and Harrison Ford takes care of him, and then he's with Harrison Ford throughout the rest of the movie. So by that point, it's kind of weird that Harrison Ford is... he is the main actor in this compared to the other people. But at the same time, Buck is the main character of this instead of Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford is the narrator, yes. And you do see him in the first half of the movie, yes. But it focuses so much on Buck. So I'm like, that's kind of interesting. So, okay, so the CGI on Buck. It depends on what you're looking for. From the trailers, I can easily tell that he's CGI. And after watching this movie, I have to ask myself, is the CGI on Buck good? His animations are mostly good. Mostly. The fur textures on him look mostly good. His expressions are mostly good. So now you're saying, why mostly good? Again, I gotta explain. So, if Buck was part of like a Pixar movie where everything else is animated, he would fit very well. He will look incredibly well. But the thing is that he's in a real environment with real people in live action. And there's a little disconnect there because he's animated a bit too well. Like his expressions are too well animated, too well expressed. His facial expressions, his animations as a dog, and his fur looks a little too clean. So there is a bit of disconnect there. But at the same time, after watching this movie, I think that's better for him as a character. I know from the trailers, everyone's saying, why would everyone just replace a real dog with a shitty CGI dog? I can understand that because you only see him for 2 whole minutes, and that's pretty much the only trailer that you could see him in, so that's why you would think that way. I get it. But that's a bit of a shame, because once you watch the movie, you realize why the CGI is like that. But again, it depends on what everyone's trying to, what the animators, what the designers are trying to go for. If they're going for pure realism, then they really failed, because Buck is really noticeable, too noticeable. But I'm not saying that he is badly animated or badly rendered or badly lit or anything. No, he really isn't. But if that's the intention, to be super realistic, then again, they failed. But it's hard for me to say that the animators did a crappy job on him, because they did a great job on him. So that's why it's hard for me to say if it's very good or very bad. It just depends on how you're willing to suspend your disbelief about this character. As a character, Buck is really good. I cared about this character. Everything he went through, all the pain, all the emotions, all the hardships he went through really got to me. And yes, it is a CGI dog, but he got to me, you know? So again, it depends on people. There are some times where I felt like, why don't you just use a live action dog for this part and stuff like that? Because nowadays, I'm not saying that CGI is easy. It isn't. CGI is never easy. People just keep thinking that, and it's just really making me pissed off. No. CGI is not easy. CGI can be done poorly, but so can everything else. Special effects, practical effects, they can be done poorly. And yes, I know some people say the worst practical effect is better than the worst CGI effect. And I do understand that, because the worst practical effect is there, so you could feel it, you could touch it. But at the same time, if the practical effect looks bad, then it's bad. So you just don't want to look at the practical effect. So that's why I'm like, it's both the same thing. You just don't want to look at it. You can't just say you prefer that one. They're both bad. So for this one, I do understand why Buck has to be fully CGI. I do get it. But again, there's a couple times I wish they actually used the a real dog, or actually studied a real dog in all these environments a bit more to get the shading of the fur right, at least, or the expressions of the eyes and stuff like that. And the thing is, and here's the thing, there's a motion capture actor for Buck. His name is Terry Notary, and he does such a great job as him, to the point where I want to see the behind the scenes with him. Like, show us the entire Call of the Wild movie, but only show the unfinished effects. Just show us Terry Notary, getting the newspaper, giving it, taking the letter from Harrison Ford and giving it to Omar Sy. Yeah, show us like that, because I really want to see this. And at one point, Harrison Ford was passing his harmonica to Buck, and Buck was playing the harmonica, and then the Harrison Ford gets the harmonica back and it has dog saliva on it, which I'm wondering if CGI or not. So that's I kept thinking about that. But again, in terms of CGI, I think Buck is done well. It just depends on what you're looking for and what the animators intended and stuff like that. But here's the funny thing. I would prefer this CGI over The Lion King anytime. And yes, The Lion King remake is goddamn beautiful. It really is. I'm surprised that it didn't win Best Visual Effects of the Academy Awards. Even though in 1917, I did not know that was a fake tower, to be honest. I was like, holy shit, that is a great CGI. So I can understand why 1917 won. But still, for the visual effects for The Lion King, it's so beautiful. It's so gorgeous. The problem is that you can't care about any of the animals except Pumbaa and Timon because they can't emote. And so it's very hard for you to feel anything for them. And that's why that movie sucks. This movie rules. That movie makes $1 billion. This one can't even reach past 100 million, I believe. Oh my God. That's a shame. Buck is really expressive, and you could tell what he's feeling, and he doesn't speak. There's no human voice in him or anything. Hell, all the animals are CGI, I believe. At least the dogs. I think there's a couple like goats or something like that that's not CGI. I could be wrong about that. But the bears CGI, the wolves are CGI, the dogs are CGI, and there's this husky who's basically the villain. Well, the lesser villain, to be honest. He's gone after a while. But yeah, you could see these facial expressions, and you could tell what they're thinking too, and they don't have to talk. That's why I really respect this movie, because you could tell what Buck is feeling. And yeah, sometimes Harrison Ford narrates, but he doesn't narrate for Buck the entire time. No, when Buck is all by himself and there's just silence, you could tell what this dog is feeling, and these animators should be commended for that, okay? Especially over the animators from The Lion King, because I could not tell what those lions are thinking if I don't listen to the movie. So yeah, this adventure with Buck is great, and it reminds me of Warhorse a lot, and I love Warhorse. If you haven't seen Warhorse, go watch it, because you feel bad for the horse after by the time the movie ends. So it's like a dog version of Warhorse. And to be honest, I thought that Call of the Wild is basically a White Fang ripoff, but this is really different for White Fang, and I think White Fang is actually inspired by the Call of the Wild book or something, or is it from the same author? I don't know. I don't read books. I'm a terrible person. Okay, so Karen Gillan is in this, and I don't understand why. I felt like she had more scenes in the movie, and they were cut, because she was only in it for like maybe 3 minutes. And it's not even a good cameo if she's only in there for just those 3 minutes and nothing else was added. Why? Why do you need Karen Gillan in this? Why is she doing all these very short roles? Like Stuber. She was in it at the beginning and then she's gone. And then after that, they showed the title credits and it showed her name. And I was like, she's dead. So that's why I'm kind of confused. Why is she doing these? She just wants to? Or the Fox or Disney at the time just wants to market him more? You don't even see her in the trailer, so yeah, it's weird on why she was in this movie. But I gotta say, the best and the worst thing about this movie is Dan Stevens. I didn't know he was in this. I didn't know. I did not know. He wasn't in the trailers, I believe. So when you finally see Dan Stevens in this ridiculous red plaid suit and this mustache, and once he speaks, you're like, holy shit, he's Cary Elwes. He's Cary Elwes' character from the Jungle Book remake from, I think, 1994? I think the character's name is Boone. I could be wrong. I haven't seen that movie in a while, and I really want to rewatch that one. It's probably on Disney Plus. I gotta check it out. Alright, so he was so good in this. I loved him. But here's the thing. You did not need him in this movie. I don't think he was even in the book when I read the Wikipedia page for a second. So if you cut out this character, the movie would have been okay the way it is, to be honest. You really didn't need him. But I guess because this is basically part of Disney and this is a full-on Disney movie now, you need a Disney villain, so you have Dan Stevens acting like Cary Elwes from the 1994 remake of The Jungle Book. Oh my god, he is so good in this. I loved him to death. Oh man. Oh god. Every time he shows up, he's so good, but at the same time, it's so unnecessary and he's kind of bad. But he's so good at being bad. Oh my god. You know, I haven't had that much fun with a character like this in a long time. Oh man, the over-the-top British actors. I think he's British. I'm trying to remember. Oh man, Dan Stevens. And with that mustache, to be honest, with or without the mustache, he is a lot like Cary Elwes. So, man, maybe he's like a Cary. If he's actually the son of Cary Elwes, then I'm not surprised. Or he's related to him or some way, or he's the resurrection of Cary Elwes. He's a clone. He's a Palpatine clone. Oh my god. Dan Stevens, man, he is so good. I loved him in Beauty and the Beast. I haven't seen Legion yet. I know it's over, so I should watch it by now. But yeah, Dan Stevens, he was so good in this. So I didn't really talk much about Harrison Ford's relationship with Buck. I've been talking much about the CGI of Buck. So Harrison Ford. Okay, so yeah, it's heartwarming. It's really heartwarming. You can understand what Harrison Ford is going through, and you could see why he really needs Buck in his life, why Buck needs him, and everything with this adventure, this journey for with Harrison Ford and Buck going to try to see if they can find some gold and stuff and just live out in the wild. It's really good. It's really, really touching. Oh man, and you know, the story of each master is pretty good. Basically, Buck only had 3 masters altogether. He had the one with Bradley Whitford in the beginning, but that was very short. And that part kind of reminds me of a Beethoven movie with the Saint Bernard with Charles Grodin and Bonnie Hunt. I love that movie. Why did it have to burn? I had the VHS. I got bad on DVD again. Okay, so it reminds me a lot of Beethoven because, you know, there's all this chaos. Buck is eating everything. People are trying to drag him outside, and he's bringing the furniture along with him because he's such a big dog. And then after that, he gets captured, sold off, and he's sold off to Omar Sy. He's Bishop from X-Men Days of Future Past. He's also from Jurassic World. He's also from the original movie, I think it's called The Untouchables or Intouchables or something like that. It's the original movie of... They made a remake of this. It's the one with Bryan Cranston and Kevin Hart. Bryan Cranston is confined to a wheelchair. He can't feel anything from the neck down. Kevin Hart is basically his aide. So yeah, he's in the original movie of that. And he's good in this, and he speaks French, and he's fluent in French. So he had a lot of screen time in this, and I really enjoyed him in this. And every time I see him, he's really good. I was so disappointed in the fact that he was not in it that much as Bishop in X-Men Days of Future Past, because again, X-Men Days of Future Past kind of revolves around Kitty Pryde and Bishop, but the movie didn't focus on that, so that's a bit of a shame. But yeah, Omar Sy is really good in this, and his relationship with Buck and how Buck is becoming a sled dog. He's learning to be a leader, and he's helping everyone else and stuff like that. It's just great with him. I really dug this movie, okay? I really do, and I wish people could go see it. It's a shame that not a lot of people are watching this, especially the fact that The Lion King made $1 billion, and yes, I know why, because of nostalgia. It sucks! Oh my god. It sucks! I appreciate the Aladdin remake more than the Lion King remake. The Lion King remake I thought was gonna be really, really good, but that one ended up sucking! Oh my god. Sorry. So, go see Call of the Wild if you haven't already, okay? Alright, so that's all I'm going to say about the Call of the Wild. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.